You've seen how to interact with CrateDB using the web-based console and Crash command line tools. In this video, I'll show you how to talk to CrateDB using its two primary client interfaces. So let's jump right in. CrateDB has two main client interfaces. The first of these uses the Postgres wire protocol on port 5432. Adopting the Postgres protocol means that CrateDB is compatible with a wide range of tools and libraries out of the box. The other interface is the HTTP endpoint, and it's found at port 4200. Using this endpoint, you can submit SQL statements for execution and receive results back over HTTP. Both client interfaces can be secured using transport layer security and SSL certificates, but we won't focus on that in this overview. If you're running CrateDB using Docker, you might have noticed these ports already. Here we're telling Docker to map port 4200, the HTTP interface, and 5432, Postgres, to the equivalent port numbers on the host machine when running CrateDB. This enables you to connect to the database running in the container using either approach. Support for the Postgres wire protocol means you can use a variety of tools to connect to CrateDB. Here I've installed the Postgres pSQL command line tool, and I'm connecting to a local instance of CrateDB. I've specified the host and port that it's running on, as well as the user to connect as and the default schema to connect to. Note that in Postgres, the default schema is called public. In CrateDB, it's doc, so I'm making sure to